Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakthrough Moment podcast, where we interview successful entrepreneurs and investors and ask them what is their biggest breakthrough moment. And as they share their breakthroughs with us at home have breakthroughs as well. I'm Zac Deane, special guest Morgan. How are you, Morgan? Are you there?
I'm great. Yes, I'm here.
All right. You're on the other side of America at the moment. We met in PE, Puerto Escondido, just a couple of weeks ago. And I was blown away by not just what you've done entrepreneurially, but just the level of impact and heart that you have that you bring into business. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'd love to interview you, man. So here we are. Um, and let me do a quick little intro for you and we'll dive into it. So, for those of you who don't know Morgan, Morgan is a serial tech entrepreneur and product owner. He's the co founder and former CTO of Smoothie, a commercial automated smoothie store that scaled robotics retail systems nationwide. He's a co founder of Opulent, building productive, ready AI infrastructure for real business workflows. And he has deep experience in global supply chain, factory setup, with a passion for turning ambitious technology into real business. And he has an awesome skill set and passion for DJing and music production, which is where we met New Year's Eve here, 2025 or 2026. So let's jump into it. Morgan, what has been the biggest breakthrough moment in your career thus far?
I think it's been a lot of sequential growth. Really, what I've learned is how to continuously adapt and improve and not hold myself back, to be able to take the data and use that to make informed decisions and not just sit and make assumptions. So I would say where I've gotten really good is coming up with an idea, testing it out quickly and rapidly, and then being able to refine it and decide which way to go based on that information. And this can apply to many parts of business, whether it is a business model. Are people buying it? Are they interested in it? Do you get customer feedback that's positive, or are you getting some negative feedback, which actually can be sometimes the best? I think negative feedback, if used properly, is actually way more potent than positive feedback if you learn quickly and rapidly. And then also from a technology standpoint, does this technology work? Is it reliable? We were building smoothie machines that had to clean itself off. Was it staying clean or was it getting dirty? Was it going to get people sick? How did we do that consistently and across many different instances all over the world?
Your track record's pretty awesome. You've built this amazing company that you mentioned, this robotics company, and now you're jumping into a new AI infrastructure. There's so much I want to ask you, but I really want to know, like, where did this entrepreneurial spark come from for you? Like, where did that originate? Are your parents entrepreneurial? Was this at high school? Like, did you read a book one day? Like, what was the thing that made you so curious about entrepreneurship?
I think I really got the bug early on. I always liked to build things. And so I think that was the predecessor to where I got today. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, had two parents who were doctors in the in the hospitals in that area. And so, I mean, I used to spend a lot of time with my dad and see how he treated patients and saved lives. And he was always developing cutting edge research and was more actually excited about that than the actual like regular medicine that he was practicing and seeing how he could improve people's lives and make them better than what the status quo was. And so I kind of got that bug early on. I remember we used to do science experiments when I was a kid, and we got this government issued telescope that used liquid nitrogen to cool it, and it was looking at the photospectrum of comets, and we were able to actually track some of the big comets that came by Earth when I was in first and second grade. So that was really cool. And then, yeah, when I got into high school, I went to boarding school in Massachusetts, and I knew that I wanted to start building businesses. So I had some classmates who were building their own computers and started their businesses in that. So I started a computer company where I made custom computers in high school. And because of that, I became an engineer, studied electrical engineering, and eventually I used that to go in, build new medical devices, work in the industry, and eventually transitioned to my first company, Smoothie, where I came up with this idea on my own, built this smoothie machine, and then was able to get a team around me to help bring this to market. So it's been a fun journey, that first one. And, I'm always hungry to keep doing cutting edge technology and see where the industry is going. And so the next big wave is AI. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to meet a great talented team and join that as a co-founder with this platform called Opulence. Well, actually, it's Opulence as the company, and then our platform is Opulence. So we actually just got our beta launch today, and I've been having a fun time playing with that and excited to bring that out to the market very shortly.
Well, that sounds fun. Beta's always an exciting journey. I want to take you back. Like, imagine you could start your whole journey again, right? What would you do different?
I think one of the biggest things I would have done differently is be more in touch with my gut. A lot of times as an engineer or scientist, you kind of think analytically and people tell you what to do and you listen to them. But I think you have to I should have spent more time trusting what my gut was telling me and doing what felt right and not just listening to other people. And I think that would have avoided a lot of challenges that we could have avoided, and I would have enjoyed it a lot more. So that would probably be the biggest takeaway that I've gone from that. There is this sort of, as scientific as it is, has, sort of left-brained engineering can be, there is this right brain sort of intuition that just you have to believe in it. And if something feels
Very
off
cool.
with people, with processes, with business ideas, you got to trust your gut.
Right. How are you, or what are you doing now or these days to tap into that? Have you found your flow with it? Is it through your music? Like,
I think it's about slowing down a little bit. You go faster. I've had co-founders who really just want to rush and go all in, and they think that's the way to go forward. And it's really, that's created problems in the past, where we end up just not having time to really think, and we just kind of get locked in. And this is a problem a lot of founders go and get into. It's especially when you get VC funding, which I would say you want to hold off on until you really get something truly locked in and well thought. But if you just kind of rush in and impulsively jump, yeah, you might get ahead of shorter or in the earlier stages, but it can really burn you in the end. And that's how a lot of companies have struggled. And it's certainly what's happened with me in some of my past businesses as well.
you mentioned that holding off for the funding is recommended.
Yeah, if you
Why do you
can, it really depends on, I guess, what company you're doing and who you are. But if you're a first time founder, I would certainly recommend taking the time to really fully digest what you're doing until you have everything well thought out and fleshed and validated. Because once you get a VC, then you're just putting gasoline on the fire, rinse, wash, repeating, and you can't really change as much. So, I mean, there have been other companies that have been in similar industries to what we've had, and we've heard there's horror stories where they thought they had something that looked really good, and they got into a market that was blowing up for them, but they didn't realize that it was a very small market. They'd already captured most of it, and so they got all this VC funding and they tried to double down on it. And then they realized they hit this wall and they really had to restructure the whole business. And this ended up causing them to fail. And this has happened in many instances. So taking your time, really not doing impulsive, I find has been one of my philosophies. And I certainly have gotten butt headed heads with people on this before, but then there's a middle ground. You don't want to lose your opportunity, especially with what we're doing now in the AI space. We got to move fast, but we spend a lot of time really researching what we're doing. And this time we've really figured out where the market is. We're actually ahead of the curve here. And everyone talks about AI, but we were actually very fortunate to be ahead of what everyone is now saying in the AI field needs to happen. And we've already developed it. So it's pretty exciting.
this is very exciting. We'll jump into that in a second. You mentioned briefly, you know, uh, validating an idea, testing the waters, so to speak. It's a bit of a theme on the podcast from some of the founders is they've got some strategies on, running some ads to a waiting list to see who's going to buy it, or, doing some market research with people outside of their target market, throwing it into the market and getting a bunch of negative reviews to learn. Like, what is the best way to validate an idea once you've got it?
I don't think there is a best way because it really depends on the idea. If it's technology and validating the technology, find the simplest way to implement it. If you're building a new machine, can you make it with things you have on hand in your shop? Could you even make like a paper model of it? And having it like image if there's a user interface and going through the user flow. So what's the simplest way to make something like that? And if it's a market experience, maybe there's a proxy or something close to what you want to do. And if you can make a simple implementation, get that out in front of people and get their feedback. And I would also say and people will tell you this over and over again. It is good to get your friends' feedback, and they might give you some good initial feedback, but don't use that as validation. Never use your friends for validation. That's a good, like, maybe a first filter, kind of refine the idea. But if you really want to get good information, get it from someone who's not attached to you.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's so interesting. Like some founders that I've connecting with, overall, there is like a quick pause before we continue. Hey, everybody, please, if you're enjoying this podcast, if it's allowing you to think differently and have your own breakthrough moment too, please subscribe. Please like this video, share it with somebody else, and even comment below. I'd love to know what has been your biggest breakthrough moment listening to today. I read all the comments, and your responses help me shape the future of this podcast so other people can have breakthroughs too. All right, let's get back to it. It's typically the founder that's starting their second business or third business that are jumping on the podcast. I feel like there's a level of refinement, or entrepreneurship will definitely test someone's ego and definitely test someone's character, right? Like it's not a bright, shiny rainbow path to the pot of gold. I'm sure there's so many ups and downs, but what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs or founders out there who are really finding it challenging to kind of have their own breakthrough, mentally, emotionally, or just kind of trying to crack it in the market? Do you have any tips for them?
Um, you know, I would say don't go for the shiny object syndrome is one thing I would say. Sometimes the most successful businesses are actually ones that don't seem sexy. They're not the ones that you really think of. It's the things that people actually ignore. Because if you look at it, everyone kind of flocks to a certain trend. And I'm also going to say this, like with artificial intelligence, everyone's talking about AI. When we were doing the smoothie company 2 years ago, everyone's like, "Oh, how are you using AI in your machine? Is it an AI smoothie machine?" Like, just because it's a robotic machine doesn't mean it's an AI system. And so people just kind of jump to this thing. You have to understand, even within those industries, where are the niches? Where are the opportunities? They talk about this bubble in AI, and it's because a lot of investors are putting money in parts of that industry that are already super saturated, where there is a minimal return and it's super expensive. But there is a lot of opportunity. So there is going to be a market correction there. I absolutely believe in that. Just like we had with the .com era. And same with anything else. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, like everyone was getting into crypto, and there are a few people who got ahead, but most people got burned just because you don't know what you're doing. You just kind of jump in on it. So really take time to understand something that you're truly passionate about and you really believe in.
It was cool. We were chatting about this just here at the house downstairs. I remember you came in and you're like, "Oh, things are really moving forward with this new business, and you've been like really diving into AI, and just you're on the cutting edge." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're on the cutting edge." I really saw that. I was like, "You're in all these different projects and news and all this stuff." And so, how do you stay up to date with what's going on in the market? How do you stay competitive? Like there's so many people just with AI now. We're outdated from 6 months ago, right? Or a year ago completely.
I
So
mean,
how
honestly,
do you stay on the cutting edge of the AI?
yeah, I mean, it's changing every month. I mean, we're on top of it. I think there's a few things. One is I'm absolutely passionate about it, and I've been embodying it in my life. I was using ChatGPT like everyone else maybe a year ago, but then I realized that there was way more to it. And about 6, 7 months ago, I really started to use the other tools and get into those. And then I used it to learn. I started doing courses, and I actually was able to learn way faster through AI and able to do a course and then actually go back to the AI and sort of ask specific questions and get them in real time, like I would from a professor or human, and get really great information on it. And I would fact check it. Sometimes it wouldn't be perfect, so I would fact check, but I would be able to then understand when does this work, when doesn't work, and really embody what the whole workflow is. So it's not just studying it, but it's actually doing it and living it and using it for many different types of workflows. I mean, I built pitch decks in a half morning, which, would take us a week or so with, 2 or 3 team members to make. And I was able to do that super fast. I was able to write a whole report for my father the other day, who's doing medical billing codes and dealing with changing government regulations for very technical medical insurance reimbursements, and help him make a major business decision on that. Um, I mean, I've helped you with come up with a proof of concept over lunchtime with an automated phone call system. And so it's really exciting what we could do here. And so I think that's the first part. I think the other thing that's really important, I've learned this especially from my experience, is having a really good team. You need a really good co-founder who you can count on, who knows what they're doing, doesn't BS you. And it's not just about credentials, where they went to school. It's about what they're actually doing. Are they an honest, honorable person? And do they have the skill set? Are they willing to do what it takes? And are they really going to stand behind what they believe in? And are they, and again, leaving the ego at the door, doing what's best for the company and everyone involved with it. I think that's absolutely critical. And I'm very fortunate to have a team like that in this new business. And I can't emphasize how important that is.
Amazing. Amazing. Just from meeting you, and yeah, we had that meeting, you, me, and Asher, and we were brainstorming stuff for the life blueprint and like all these different, you blew our mind in like this 15-20 minute little huddle brainstorm. Do you have any recommendations, or like how are you using AI in your everyday to support you with the workload or fact checking? Yeah, there's obviously some level of system that you have. Do you have any insight that you could share, or is it all on the new platform?
We, I mean, I've actually, the thing is, I've learned all about all of our competitors as well, and they're great ones out there. They've been very successful. Fastest and the fastest acquisitions to billion-dollar companies have been our competitors, actually, which is really exciting to be in this time. And I wouldn't even call them competitors. They're an alternate approach to what we're doing. I think the market is so big. So I think there's just a lot of different ways, and that's how I did it with my last business. It's such a big pie, and there's just so many ways to do it. And I really appreciate the value of what they've done. They built incredible tools and platforms, and so I've been using their stuff as well as, and then where ours just launched today. So I've been using it a bit when in the testing as we're developing it, but now knowing what other people are doing, I can understand and appreciate what we've built. So it's
Is- so what do you have? What can you spill the beans on? Can you share the ins and outs or high picture, high notes of what you're working on now?
Yeah, so we have the world's most advanced super agent, which basically means that we can deploy agents, build, deploy, and manage agents in real time with an advanced operating system. And what that means is that we can do complex tasks reliably and consistently and avoid things like hallucinations, errors, things getting stuck, and or infinite runtimes that just burn out compute. So really optimizing to have the best workflows for these unique tasks. Traditional AI systems like ChatGPT is a good example of it. There are these more brittle functions that kind of go down a path, and if you're doing one specific task, it's really good at it. But if you start to change it, that's where you start to get into the issues. Now, all these AI infrastructures are getting better and better over time, but no one's really tackled this one. And we're really looking at the orchestration layer. So that's really the infrastructure that holds everything together. How does the workflow happen in an artificial intelligent assistant or platform? And we're moving into a multi-agentic system so that we're having all these different agents working together in the optimized way. You don't want them to take forever, but you also don't want them to just go off and be crazy and be a swarm that's doing all these tasks without any sort of oversight. So how do you do that in a well thought, well maintained manner?
Can you break it down a little bit? Maybe step a couple steps back. I know you're in it, man. Like you
Yeah.
understand it from such a high level. But for the everyday person, what is an agent? What's a super agent? What's the difference? If you have a business on Facebook or Instagram, you need to learn about this new amazing AI automation tool. The question is your personal profile or business profile manually messaging your target audience every single day? If not, I highly recommend you do this. There's a massive ROI on that. But if you are, there's a more cost-effective strategy. So this is a unique AI software. It runs for you your friend requests, the messages, the likes, even the comments 24/7 in the cloud. So while you're watching podcasts like this or taking calls or while you're sleeping, it's running there in the background. Some of these people are pulling in another 5 to 20 extra qualified leads every single week on autopilot. You can experience the podcast special trial and try it for yourself today. Check it out in the show notes below.
So, okay. let's say that your AI assistant is like a human working for you, and your human does different types of tasks. It might be, let's say it's your executive assistant. So it might write emails and read emails. It might organize files. So each one of these specific tasks, what they're doing is what an agent sort of does. It's like a bound, constrained set of tasks that this intelligent system can do. And then a super agent is, there's different definitions of it actually, depending on what platform you use. But for us, we really have a very comprehensive idea of that, which is it can create agents, but it also can manage, deploy, and maintain them. So it's really an ecosystem. It's almost like an environment or a factory of agents. And so it builds them, it stores them, it can deploy them in different ways. You can have all these different types of rules that can say, hey, like, I want this agent to send my emails out at 7 a.m. To my clients. Or I want to constantly be checking the web for what my competitors are doing and send me alerts if someone does something. Um, I want my CRM to send out a sales call with an AI agent to people, or a fleet of agents to people, to try to do onboarding calls and customer discovery. I want to build a website that has, an integrated chat assistant into it and, launch that for my client. These are all just examples of what we can do. There are other platforms that can do it, but we really want to be that one platform that does it all. And we want to
Wow.
do it for not just for the hobbyist or solopreneur, which we're going after, but really do it for major businesses, which is a situation where a lot of companies are wary of adapting AI, and there's a lot of risks, both in terms of user adoption, safety protocols, cybersecurity, or data breaches. And then finally, just integrating it into their expansive and elaborate infrastructure and servers. So we're trying to make that all simple and the way of the future.
Super cool. Two things there. We had a podcast. I had a podcast with AJ. He was talking about an NVGF, a minimal viable governance framework for like a way of building more trust, transparency, consistency with customers and things like this. How do we integrate, or how do we start this discussion, and how do we educate everyone on the privacy and the information and the accuracy, the credibility of what it's doing? Like, is that a concern? And how do we, I guess, maintain that long? Just quickly before we continue, if you're an entrepreneur out there or a high performer who wants more clarity and direction in life, or maybe you're going through some kind of turbulent transitional phase, I want to share with you something that I co-built. It's called the Life Blueprint System. It's an AI powered goal setting process that helps you create a personalized life blueprint, kind of like an architectural plan or a business plan, but for your life. And so it allows you to take and capture those big ideas, those amazing thoughts you have, and to turn it into a proven plan of action. And so if you want to stop guessing and start building your future intentionally and consciously, go to the lifeblueprint.io to learn more. Let's go back to the episode. Turn.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is important. I think one is on education, and the other is on execution. Education, really telling people how to run and use their AI tools in a safe manner, how to make sure it's set up so it can't create issues, because it absolutely could. If you don't give it certain boundaries, if you don't give it certain guardrails, and if you off maybe don't put the right firewalls in, it can do crazy things. And I mean, if you look in the news, there's plenty of instances of that happening where there's breaches, people's well-being have been compromised to sometimes the worst degree possible. If you actually look at it, um, you can make AI, even if it's programmed not to do bad things, just to um, put insertions and cause it to do things that it's not supposed to do. If you're, either, I mean, sometimes it can be by accident, but sometimes it can be malicious. So how do we build something that's really safe and has those safety protocols and um, infrastructure that just can't be broken? And that's something that, really needs to be well thought out. And the biggest AI companies are struggling with that and falling on their face. And you just read the news. And then the other thing is
Okay.
just, training people how to do it and really educating them. And so starting small and then building up to it. I know we'll get there. Our platform that's one of the things we've focused on with our platform is to build something that avoids those types of problems. But if we have other companies that are well known already have those issues, why would people trust us?
Yep. Yep. So how are you kind of setting your boundaries and guardrails for because I'm guessing if this is going to redefine the agent AI space and it's these super agents, it sounds like the Matrix, these super agents.
Yes.
Like how do you, yeah, look at the boundaries within what you're doing on an everyday basis?
I mean, there's a lot of safety features we build into it. And, we use sandboxes, virtual computers, we have guardrails. Um, we also have evals and checks that are constantly making sure that things are performing as expected and then take corrective action if necessary. There's also, I mean, for certain more advanced tasks, and even with our platform, you should have a human in the loop there. So if there's anything that's mission critical, let's say medical, manufacturing, um, you should have someone constantly checking it and making sure it's okay. Don't just say, "Oh yeah, go run all day and everything's gonna be okay." I mean, the same thing in a normal and work environment. Like, if you're in a hospital, you normally have multiple people checking the work so that, especially in a surgery, if you have a whole team there, so that mistakes aren't made.
Interesting. So interesting. Gosh. Do you think robots are eventually going to like take over all of our jobs and there's going to be crazy levels of technological unemployment and it's going to cause an issue? Or are you more optimistic that there'll be more opportunity and there'll always be jobs for people no matter how technological the future looks?
It's interesting question. I could look at this in a few different ways. What I could say is that the jobs we have today are probably not going to be around in 50 years, a lot of them, but that'll pave way for new jobs. AI is really an extension of us. It's a tool. It's not going to replace us. I still think the best way when I interact with any sort of AI platform is I actually write on my computer on a tablet or like on a notepad, not connected to AI, what I want to do and think it through as a plan, and then I plug it in and then I start going with it. But I don't have the AI tell me what to do. I might have my morning briefings, and I've set up like my personal assistant bot that will tell me like, the certain news that I want to know and whatnot. But if I'm actually thinking through workflows, I do that independently first, and then I go into it. Uh, and I also know what tools to use and whatnot. It sort of takes time for that. So that's sort of AI is an extension of you. And that's how I like to look at it. It allows you to do more. It allows you to focus on the real innovative breakthrough ideas rather than getting stuck in the mundane repeating tasks. That's what an agent does. It does those repeating tasks and connects to the tools that'll help execute them. So that's one. You know, in terms of where is technology going, 100 years ago, people were using typewriters to write and notes, and they do it one at a time. If they made a mistake, they had to put the whiteout in. And what happened to all the people were writing on typewriters? What happened to that career? What happened to the taxi drivers when in the major cities when Uber came through? It's a disruption, and I guess I would say this is probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, disrupting industry out there, more so than any of the web breakthroughs. But at the same time, I think this creates tremendous opportunities. Just how do you take it? Do you want to be part of the change or do you want to resist it? And that's what everyone sort of talks about now is if you're hiding from it, if you're avoiding it, then you'll maybe get left behind. You probably will. I mean, there's some industries that people are maybe going to be a little less dependent on it. I mean, I'm not sure if immediately the forestry industry is going to be affected by AI, but maybe not. I mean, there are automated tractors out there. Why not have AI do that? So I think it's just a matter of where are our priorities and where is AI going to be implemented? I would say starting on the big opportunities first, and then it'll start to branch out. But I think everything will eventually change pretty much through AI, just about.
It's one of those things, yeah, as you're saying, like in new technology to come to market. It's going to disrupt, and there's going to be people that love it. There's going to be people that hate it, and that's just life. And I think it's those that are willing to adapt and be flexible and ask the better questions of how can I adapt with this? What benefit could this be? People, it's like starting a new health kick or a new job, or this like, oh, what if it doesn't work? Or if I put myself out there, like I'm not good enough. But it's like, what if this does really work? And what if it is incredibly beneficial for your life? And what if this allows you to reach your dreams and goals faster than anything before? Like, we just got to ask better questions. And I think this is why I'm really curious about this discussion, because it's definitely the future. It's not going anywhere, and we need to be flexible and adapt with it. But I like I like these conversations because it's like it also gives me more hope and more optimism that AI is heading in the right direction when I meet the founders and the people behind it, and their hearts in the right place. And I think AI is just going to be, as you said, an extension of us, right? Pause before we continue. The first way we as entrepreneurs introduce ourselves when we walk into a room, it's our energy, right? People feel that. And secondly, it's our face. How healthy do we look? So for the entrepreneurs out there who care about how they show up, I'd love to share with you personally. I've been utilizing some Korean skincare products now just for over a month, and I had no idea about them up until, even just 2 months ago. But it's by far one of the best investments I've made for my skin. I feel it's literally making me look younger, and it has this like glassy, super fresh look. And so this is the number one exported Korean beauty brand and skincare line in the world. The ingredients are second to none. Even pregnant women can utilize them, because out there's so many products that have toxins in them that really make our face not healthy over a long period of time. And so if you're out there and you want to match the energy that you output with how healthy you look, you can trial these products risk-free for 30 days. If you don't like them, send them back and get all your money back. If you're out there, if you're curious, check out the link below to learn. Let's get back to the episode.
Absolutely. And, we are, I had a really interesting conversation with my co-founder on this. He worked in consulting in one of the big consulting firms, and I have a lot of friends who work from there. In fact, most of my co-founders came from consulting back in the day. And it's kind of a miserable field after a few years. It might be cool and glamorous for the first year, but then it's just, you're working for a client, you're just grinding out many hours, and you're not really contributing meaningful value for the most part. And you get burnt out, and it can have very negative like health impacts. And why does a human have to do these repeating, tedious tasks? Why don't they think on the real innovation part? There is this innovation breakthrough part of these consulting firms. And why don't we spend more time on that rather than just grinding out these hours till 3 a.m. to just get the work done? And yeah, I can do that. I mean, I've been able to produce 40-page comprehensive industry reports in half a morning and do get to market strategies for companies. I mean, this would take a week easily for a post MBA student to do. So it's pretty incredible that we're able to do this now. And it's probably more than a week. They're actually for like a 40-page one, it's probably like 2 weeks to a month. It's
Yeah.
amazing what you can do if you use the right tools and know how to apply them. And so what I could say also is, you don't have to go all in. I mean, I wouldn't recommend going all in. I think it is good to be concerned and cautious. I think with anything, and there are absolutely negative implications of AI. I'm not saying it's all peaches and roses. It's go in with an open mind, but give it a shot. Try it a little bit, and do the things that you like where you see value, and just try it a little bit more and more, and just be consistent at it. That's what I could recommend. And if you really fall in love with it, then spend more time on it. But find the things that work you appreciate it and where it creates value.
Who is your software best suited for? Like, typically the people watching the podcast, these are like professionals wanting to be getting into entrepreneurship, or they're founders or entrepreneurs that have been doing this a while. Um, who, who, from who's listening, who should really sign up to your platform and give it a go?
Anyone trying to build something. So I would say to start, entrepreneurs, whether it's a small company or solopreneurs. I would also say small, medium businesses. We're working with a number of those, and that's kind of the good starting point. Eventually, we want to get into enterprise, but I know that's a longer sales cycle. There's more red tape, but yeah, for now, anyone who's in a small, like anywhere from a SMB and smaller, and anyone who just wants to be able to build things better.
Super exciting. I can't wait. Everyone listening at home, I'll put the link somewhere around this video, and you guys can be one of the first to check out this platform. I look forward to getting a bit of a, checking out the beta version too, if that's possible. And, we can do some more
Absolutely.
videos on it.
Yeah,
It's
we have a
pretty
limited
exciting.
sign up. Yeah, we have a limited sign up for people who want to be beta testers, and then we'll be doing rollouts for early customers in a month. So within the month, actually.
Wow. Oh, wow. Super cool. So, yeah, you heard it, guys. I'll put the link around here. I'll get this podcast up ASAP for everyone. Morgan, my last question is this. My favorite question is everyone listening at home, right? What is the biggest challenge or the most meaningful challenge you can give them today that's going to help them have a breakthrough? Is it a challenge for them to do today, this week, this quarter, this year to help them break through to the other side? What would your challenge be?
I would say overcome your limitations. And that's something that I've learned how to do and start small, but think big, have a big dream. And that's what I love about AI is you can now build these big things that were impossible before. And now, and it's not just AI, but just like, if you like, don't let anything hold you back. Just try to get after it. Come up with a plan, even if it's not perfect, and then execute on it. How am I going to do this? And don't look at the obstacles. Like the obstacles are good to be aware of, but don't let them stop you. Figure out how to get around those obstacles. Look at the
It
goal.
is true. It's like these big dreams and goals that we have, they're more possible now than ever before. AI, team, connecting, networking, traveling the last couple year, like year and a half, and seeing, every time I take off in a plane, I'm always looking out the window because I'm like, oh, it's so cool to see the world from this like elevated position that I just don't see every day. And as I'm looking down, I'm like, damn, there's so many people out here, and they're like, they all know about AI, right? Most of them aren't utilizing it correctly, but there's people out there who are really squeezing the lemon on, as you said, like we can learn things faster, we can automate things, we can bring our dreams to life faster now more than ever with this tech. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, wow, where is this going in the next 12 months, 5 years, 10 years? Like it's super exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it doesn't have to be AI either. It's just, I think it's the mindset. It's really the mindset that's most important. And it's about being persistent and consistent and just keep going. Just keep going. Make small progress every day. And I remember reading a book. If you make 1% improvement every day and you do it for a whole year, you're going to be miles ahead of where you were before. So just even if you start small, just keep doing it.
I just remembered one more thing I'd love to ask is, DJing, this creativity of music and art. I've noticed that some founders and entrepreneurs, they have this kind of like side hidden skill in whether it's singing or DJing or like writing music or dance or like there's this creativity essence to it. Do you think that creative spark, like you bring that creative spark to business? Like, do you see yourself as an entrepreneur? Do you see yourself as an artist, a creative? Do you see yourself as a businessman? Like, what is that identity that you have? Because it's not just in entrepreneurship now; it's also in music. And I don't know, how do you conceptualize that?
Yeah. I would say I'm both an entrepreneur and I'm a builder, or creator. So I really am vision first, execution second. And again, it kind of goes back to what I said: is really figure things out first, have a clear understanding what you want to do, and then you can then the execution becomes easy. I would say one thing that I've gotten really good at over my time, and sort of, like I said, I talked about testing things quickly, but if you want to elaborate it even further, is you have these complex problems and things aren't working, and it might be of multiple factors that are causing it. And then being able to sort of step back, you're not going to get it all at once. You might, need a few days to kind of distill it and just absorb it as much as you can. Don't force it. But eventually you start to see that ball of yarn and you kind of see how that rope untwists. And then you can see the simple individual tasks. And I might give 2 or 3 tasks, one to myself, one to a teammate, one to a consultant, and those 3 tasks solve this whole massive problem. And it's these really simple things that had to come together, but it was by distilling it all down into these simple, like, to its core essence to do that.
Great strategy there for sure. And that's
So
they say like typically isn't like Warren Buffett, or these big super successful visionaries, they're not in the nitty gritty of the business because they have teams that support that, but they're more in this time where they're like being in creativity or expansive thinking or problem solving and like sitting on ideas or meditating on ideas and just like marinating in the problem solving of the bigger issues. And it sounds like that's something that you've you've learned or you integrate with what you're doing, yeah?
Yeah, it's about seeing the big picture and understanding how everything is interrelated and knowing enough detail to be able to assign it to the right people. Or if you have to do it yourself, definitely do it. And you should do everything at least once. But then once it becomes repeatable, once it becomes tedious, or if it's just something that takes so much time to learn, get those people, get the right people or tools these days to do that for you.
Yeah. It's such a cool little method there. These big because most people are so busy, right? We're so busy to even to like pick up the phone and call someone that we love and have a catch up or reconnect with people, whether it's just, it's just life. But if we have these big issues, what you said is like step back, have time, learn, see it from different perspectives, brainstorm it with the team, and then you start to see the problem in a different way, and then you can actually tackle it. I think that's a really good message that you said, even at the beginning. Minimize the noise, and yeah, come at it from more of the methodical, you know, systematic approach rather than rushing in and validating it. It's like really marinate in the problem solving.
Yeah, and I agree. And I would say I'm less busy than I was before. I'm definitely very busy, but my output is multiple times better than when I was, doing my last company 4 or 5 years ago because I've learned where the value lies. I know actually takes it's better to plan things out, again, see the big picture before executing and going in head first. And having the right and also then you've also built the right tools, frameworks, which it does takes time to do and then you just know exactly almost like clockwork where to go rather than trying to struggle with that. So there's this whole thing where talk about being busy in time. The lowest tier of being busy is trading your time for money. And then you start trading your money for time and resources. And then you get other people to work for you. So it's really about elevating yourself to have systems in place for you can so you can think at the higher level and focusing on the bigger picture and creating that real the big value.
Pearls of wisdom. You've been through the trenches and you're continuing this journey and sharing the good vibes, not just here on podcasts or in the office, but through your music as well. So thank you for just your time today and all the breakthroughs that you've had, sharing the wisdom. Everyone at home, if this is going to help impact someone, if you know someone, who do you know who would love to listen to this, please share this around, subscribe, like, and we look forward to seeing anyone out there who's having breakthroughs. What's the biggest aha moment? Please put it into the comments. We'd love to learn from you too. Thank you so much for your time, Morgan. We'll see you
Thank
next
you so
time.
much, Zach. Always a pleasure. Cheers.